The rain had been falling steadily for hours, each drop tapping against the window like a whispered secret, warning of the storm both outside and within. In a small, dimly lit room cluttered with newspaper clippings and faded photographs, Sarah sat alone, tracing the edges of a worn picture of her brother. The faint hum of the city beyond her apartment did little to mask the silence that had settled in her chest, a silence heavy with unanswered questions, with a truth that had been buried too deep for too long. Her brother had vanished 3 years ago, swallowed by the shadows of the night, leaving behind only a chilling void. At first, the police told her it was a random act of violence, an unfortunate tragedy in a city that never truly slept, but Sarah never believed in coincidences, not when the pieces didn't fit, not when every instinct screamed that something far more sinister was at play. The air inside the room felt cold despite the warmth of the heater, as if the walls themselves remembered the fear that had gripped her those endless nights. She closed her eyes and let the memories wash over her, the last time she saw him, the way he smiled that evening, unaware of the darkness creeping closer. The city outside carried on, oblivious to the quiet war being waged in its hidden corners. Detective Mark had been the first to notice the pattern. He was a man worn down by years of chasing ghosts, his office a chaotic testament to his obsession, maps pinned with red strings. Timelines scrawled across whiteboards, profiles of victims who had no apparent connection except the way their lives had been snuffed out. Each case was a thread in a tapestry of calculated horror, a puzzle he was desperate to solve before more lives were claimed. Mark had spent countless sleepless nights poring over details others dismissed. He learned that these murders were not impulsive acts of madness. They were carefully orchestrated, each location chosen with precision, each victim a deliberate piece in a plan so cold and complex it defied comprehension. The mastermind behind it was patient, methodical, a puppeteer pulling strings from the shadows. One rainy evening, as the streetlights flickered through the downpour, Sarah and Mark met in a quiet, far from the noise of the city. The warmth inside contrasted sharply with the chill outside, a fragile refuge from the storm that had become their shared reality. Sarah's voice trembled as she spoke, the weight of years pressing down on her. I've been following the clues on my own, but it's like chasing smoke. The pieces are there, but the picture they form makes no sense unless someone wants it that way. Mark nodded, his eyes reflecting the same relentless hunger for truth. The killer isn't just random. There's a message behind this chaos, a game only they understand. Together they traced the invisible lines connecting each victim, uncovering whispers of a past shrouded in bitterness and revenge. They discovered that the mastermind had been living among them all along, hidden behind a mask of normalcy so convincing that no one had dared to suspect. It was no madman striking out in desperation, it was a calculated campaign of terror, years in the making. As Sarah and Mark delved deeper, shadows from the past began to surface, old grudges, forgotten betrayals, and secrets that had festered in silence. The mastermind's motivations were tangled in personal pain, twisted by a desire to control fate itself. It was a lesson in how darkness can grow quietly, noticed, until it explodes into something devastating. The tension built like the gathering storm outside, each revelation drawing them closer to a confrontation neither could predict. The city's heartbeat quickened as the final act approached, a night thick with rain and fear, where truth would finally claw its way into the light. An abandoned warehouse, the air heavy with the smell of damp concrete and rust, Sarah and Mark faced the mastermind. The figure before them was calm, eerily composed, eyes sharp with the cold satisfaction of a long game played perfectly. You think you understand why I did it? The voice was low, almost a whisper. It's not about them. It's about proving I could control everything, every life, every outcome. But Sarah, her hands trembling yet steady, met the gaze with a fierce resolve. You lost control the moment you let hate rule your heart. No one owns fate. Police sirens pierced the night, drawing closer as the mastermind was finally unmasked and taken into custody. The nightmare that had haunted the city for years was over, but the scars it left ran deep. Sarah stood at a memorial where names glowed softly on black marble, the dawn breaking behind her like a promise. The rain had stopped, the world seemed washed clean, yet she knew some wounds would never fully heal. In the quiet morning light, she felt a fragile hope, a reminder that even in the darkest stories, resilience and truth could shine brightest. The years-long plan had been revealed, with it a profound lesson. That evil, no matter how patient or cunning, could never silence the courage of those who refused to forget. The mastermind's shadow was lifted, but the city and Sarah would carry the memory of that storm forever, and in that memory lay a strength far greater than fear.